just in time for our weekly chat here in my podcast. And welcome. How's your week? I hope you're having a blast. And today's topic is quite interesting because this topic is not just about South Korea. I know each country have their own working culture, working life. But I want to share something that's very interesting because here in South Korea, one of the most important aspect of your working life is not actually your skills. It's more of your visibility. So I'm Justin. I've been in South Korea for almost 4 years. We're nearing 5 years now. I've been working in my Korean company for almost a year and 9 months. And in my almost 2 years life in my company, I've seen a lot of things. And in my observation, the most important aspect, especially for like relationship building, communication, especially in promotion, is not about skills. It's not about accomplishments. It's not about competencies. It's about visibility and tenure. Oh, you've all known about, there's so many stories about South Korea, their toxic working culture. Well, it's toxic, but it's gradually improving. The Weshik culture, the not allowed to go out of the company unless until the boss decides to go. You have to stay. The over unpaid OT culture, the unpaid activities and tasks and such. Those things exist still in today's age, but so many things have changed. In my current company, fortunately, I've only done overtime once because the deadline of the project is within the day. So I have to finish everything. But everything is, if you're finished with your task, you can go home. That's valid and that's okay. But I want to talk about something about promotions and recognition. Because in my current company, I really observed aspects of high visibility results to high commendation and promotion. I'm not sure if because I haven't experienced going to another company here in South Korea, but I've tried experiencing working in the Philippines, and I also saw that aspect that the more visible you are, the higher the chance that you get promotions, the higher the chance you'll get recommendations, and the higher protection that you'll have in terms of issues, challenges, and such. Why I'm saying this is because I want to make sure that when you decide to go to South Korea, be it to study here first and get job or eventually go to the job market, you'll take note of these things so you'll be prepared. And actually, the Korean language competency for foreigners come into play, especially on this aspect. The more visible you are, the higher the chance that you'll get promoted, the higher the chance that you'll get recommended or commended for your actions. And again, visibility does not always mean participating in different projects. If the company is launching a new project, you jump on it. If the company is creating a new project or program, you jump on it, you lead it, you be the host or something like that. Visibility comes also in the form of if there's a lunch out, do you join or not? During lunchtime, do you eat alone or do you join your colleagues to eat together? For example, your boss is walking outside. Do you join him by coffee or you just stay on your desk? If your boss is interested of smoking, do you join your boss to smoke or not? Visibility on that aspect makes it's like the foundation for relationship, especially in Korean companies. And what I've learned so far in terms of navigating the Korean working life is that there's only one trick. Never ever talk negatively against a coworker. Even if you're sharing it with just your friend or your supervisor, or like a close friend within the company, never ever do that. If you talk bad about someone within the company or association, you don't really know what happens. especially for foreigners like us. th- Most of the time, we're the last people to receive the news or information. Also, in terms of the risk of being the blame or putting the blame on us, that's also another thing you have to be cautious. So never ever talk back nor talk bad about someone else within the association, because that also hampers your visibility within the group. So when they start probably removing, for example, you used to be included in the lunch out, but since once you said no, I won't join, there is actually a tendency that they will not include you to that lunch out, or they will not invite you anymore. And that already hampers your visibility within the association or within your group. And again, visibility matters because in for example in my association they have specific events during the year end wherein they vote for people they really recommend within the workplace. If you're not remembered by your colleagues, you won't be able to get those awards. And those awards come into play when it comes to promotion and such. So it's very important again to take note of these things, especially if you decide to work here in South Korea. And also, again, especially for bigger companies, your task is just a tiny portion of the whole entirety of the company. If you're not visible in these um, non-work related activities, it's harder for you to get visibility or participation on the work related activities. So, for example, if the boss doesn't really see you much during lunchtime, they might think this person is always busy or he prefers working alone. Probably I don't want to include him in projects, group projects anymore because he might do the same thing as you. Very much comfortable being alone. Working with the team will not be a good fit. That could be the thing that you're sending or signaling by deciding to say no. And probably in other continents, saying no, for example, for a lunch out or invitation is like a circumstantial thing. But in South Korea or Asia in general, it's more of they take note of these things, and that's very important for us to take note. And as a foreigner, especially working here in South Korea, the more involved you are in these kinds of lunch out, dinners, coffee, the more information you gain. That's also very important. So, for my case, even if my Korean speaking is not that great, I make sure during lunchtime my ears are listening, trying to understand what they're saying. So, at least in one setting or like one lunch out, I have said at least 5, 10 words, probably contributed 5, 10 discussion points. I'm okay with it. Just to make sure and reinforce the fact that I exist and I'm taking space. And especially if we're trying to eat out, you can count on me to join. And that's more of me presenting myself in terms of I can join the discussions even if I'm just sitting and probably laughing with you guys. That's enough for me, and that sends signal that I am actually willing to participate even if I'm not Korean and I'm just learning and trying to improve my Korean language proficiency. And although I haven't been promoted or probably got a promotion, I was able to get commendations in terms of my job because I was able to execute the project, and then a lot of people were able to notice that project. So again, this really plays important role in terms of future activities and future directions for your job. And that's something you have to take note of. Probably this is not just applicable with the Korean working life. If you work in your home country in an international setting, visibility matters, and the way you participate, the way you present yourself also matters. That's why I tried my best. I have a resting bitch face. That's how they call it. So if I'm working very seriously with a job or for a project, you see my face like as if I'm very pissed. But in the end of the day, I'm just working hard. And I got informed by one of my supervisors saying, Justin, you seem to look very stressed with the job that you're working on yesterday. And I was like, I was taken aback because I was not stressed, more of I was focused. but with the way my face was presented or how they saw my face, because in Korean company setting, tables are like you're facing another person, they just cover it with monitor, or like there's a monitor dividing you two guys. So in diagonal of you, you can see your supervisors or your bosses. So actually, my supervisor mentioned that to me, and I actually have to explain myself that no, I was not stressed, I was not pissed, I was not angry, I was just focused. And I keep on. I had to reiterate that if they see me that way, clicking, clicking the keyboard, it's me showing more dedication and actually trying to explain myself. And thankfully, actually, that supervisor was very kind to inform me about this because, again, in the end of the day, some of them would just brush it off and just, okay, if this is how you do things, I'll just let you do it. But fortunately, my supervisor is actually very kind enough to inform me about this, and it helps in terms of building my image within the company, within the team. At the same time, like something I can change or work on in the future. Because I mean, being very approachable is the next step. Participation, visibility is the first, and approachability is the next step. And especially in South Korean setting, working with like smaller number of people, you there are a lot of times that you will be working with the project outside of your initial work, and that's normal here, especially for smaller companies. So being approachable and presenting a face that can actually be, oh, I think Justin can be help a good big help for this project or something like that. It gives them a recall of what you can actually contribute for the company. Again, the bottom line here is that we have to prepare ourselves because we're foreigners for possible changes in the future. Because our employment here in South Korea is actually subject to a lot of change. I myself am a contract full-time employee, which in every 12 months I have to recontract. So if things happen, don't go the way I want it to go, there are changes that could occur. I might get laid off or I might resign. But if I present myself readily available at the same always and then with a great and high visibility, the tendency of me being removed from work is actually very, very low. I actually got an idea because I also talked to my manager about my worries since my contract is ending in December 2024, this December. And then my manager was very much comforting and said that, no, Justin, don't worry about it. Our projects, our existing projects, are actually heavily centered on you. Your visibility on these projects are been reported through our monthly reports, our meetings. Even if you're not speaking and presenting them, but in the reports my name are appearing, signifies my high participation and visibility. And that's actually something I'm working on. I want to work on the fact that I want to present themselves these projects myself, that I don't have to rely to my Korean colleagues to present them, because that increases my visibility. If I be able to present them in Korean, that also signifies, okay, this person is ready for promotion. This person is ready for the next step. That's actually what I'm aiming for. And again, it's up to us to be visible, to be seen, and to be active in terms of these tasks. And I hope with the discussion you learn something from what the life here in South Korea and working life here in actually in South Korea can actually go. And if you have other topics to discuss, especially for this just in time for chat podcast, feel free to share them in the comment section. I really appreciate seeing your comments, um, making your own reflections, and probably realizing some things that you want to know about South Korea, working here, living here, and thriving here. Till then,